땐 내게 신기한 변화가 있는데 자꾸 미소 짓게 돼.
우릴 막을 순 없다.
자꾸 마법에 걸려 밤을 새도 안 졸려 다른 생각 지워져 소리는 커져 사랑이 참 쉬워져
사랑 뒤엔 올랐군.
That's what you do to me. 나는 알코올 프리건데 취해 마신 게 하나도 없는데 너와 있을 때마다 이래 날 보는 네 눈빛 때문에 너는 마시는 날 champagne 난 wine 내 tequila margarita mojito red lime sweet mimosa pina colada I'm talking you I'm talking you 너는 정말 특별해 전혀 독하지 않은데 yeah. 낮에 별이 뜨게 해 한 모금 마셨는데 자꾸 마법에 걸려 밤을 새도 안 졸려 다른 생각 지워져 심장 소리는 커져 사랑이 참 쉬워져 그래서 빠지고 빠져 점점 너에게 That's what you do to me. 나는 알코올 free 건데 취해 마신 게 하나도 없는데 너와 있을 때마다 이래 내 보는 네 눈빛 때문에 Yo, 알코올 도수는 완전 0.0 근데 마실 때마다 자꾸 길에 잃어 자고 일어나도 깨지가 않아 근데 이 기분 싫지가 않아 It's to the mouth and pop me Like a dream made of honey 이슬리는 만큼 도대체 뭐니 Makes the whole world bright as Sunday 나는 알코올 free 건데 취해 마신 게 하나도 없는데 너와 있을 때마다 이래 날 보는 네 눈빛 때문에 너는 마시는 날 champagne 난 wine 내 tequila margarita mojito red lime sweet mimosa pina colada I'm drunk in you I'm drunk in you Guess who loves you? 나야 나. Do I show you? No야 no. 아직 타임이 아니야 난. 좀 더 가까이 그러다 갑자기 싹. I'ma steal it 맘을 훔쳐 You are gonna love me. 결정적인 fake party 드러내는 타입. 나와 두 눈이 마주쳐도 난 흔들린 이에서 no. 널 사랑하는 게 싫으면 You in the room You never know Baby 끌리겠지만 결국엔 너야 늦게 되겠지만 이제 finally 우린 듣기 시간이야 벌써 어느새 또 밤이 되었습니다 I'm the mafia 누구일까 마피아 누구일까 마피아 애우보다 더 배우 늦게 가지고 있냐고 전혀 안 보이겠지 하지만
세상을 부수고 또 부숴서 아직 그만 남길 거다.
영원한 밤 천 넘는 방에 우릴 가둔다. What can we say? 매번 아파도 외치는 다치고 망가져도 난 뭘 믿고 버티는 거야. 어차피 떠나면 상처 조성이 채로 미워하게 될걸. 끝장을 보기 전 끝낼 순 없어. 이 아픔을 기다린 것처럼. 아마다 잠깐일지도 몰라. 우리 뭘 찾아서 헤매는 걸까. But I don't care. Do it over and over. 내 세상 속에 너만 있으면 돼. We are the lost singers. 이곳대로 내 사랑을 끝낼 순 없어. We are the lost singers. 이름 없이 나는 의미가 없어. But we were born to be alone. Yeah, we were born to be alone. Yeah, we were born to be alone. But why we still looking for love? No love letters, no X and notes, no love, never my exes, no diamond rings that's set in stone. To the left, better let alone. Didn't wanna be a princess, I'm priceless. A prince not even on my list. Love is a drug that I quit. No doctor could help when I'm lost. 아마다 잠깐일지도 몰라. 우리 뭘 찾아서 헤매는 걸까. 불안한 내 눈빛 속에 널 담아. 아프더라도 너만 있으면 돼. We are the lost singers. 이곳대로 내 사랑을 끝낼 순 없어. We are the lost singers. 이름 없이 나는 의미가 없어. But we were born to be alone. Yeah, we were born to be alone. Yeah, we were born to be alone. But why we still looking for love? 사랑은 slipping and falling. 사랑은 killing your darling. 아프다 아프면 또 탄탄해. 네가 없는 떨림. 들리지 않아 what you say. 네 아픔이 난 행복해. 나를 불쌍해하는 네가 내 눈에 더 불쌍해. 모두 결국 떠나가고 내 눈물이 묻혀져도 아프고 또 아파도 But we're still looking for love.
적을 처치했습니다.
내일을 위하여
적을 처치했습니다.
내 힘이 세상을 덮치면 누구도 벗어날 수는 없지.
I'm so curious, boy, wanna keep it cool, but I know every time you move, got me frozen. I get so shy, it's obvious. Got feels like butterflies. If I say what's on my mind, 말해봐자 어서 다 cause I'm not shy Not shy Not me 남자 보니까 Not shy Not shy Not me Give me that Not shy Not me 남자 보니까 Not shy Not shy Not me 너를 보내 너 어때 cause I'm not shy 넌 빨리빨리 대답할 필요는 없어 어차피 날 거니까 내가 보기만 하는데 Yeah you will like it cause you like it cause you like it like it 내가 미워 아니라면 미워 나를 쏟아지워 내가 네 only one Yeah 그냥 싹 지워 싹싹싹싹 넌 shy 세요 넌 싫은데 Hey there 우리는 baby baby 내 맘이 무슨 모르지만 내 생각이 맞아 그러니까 Yeah yeah 내 맘은 내 거 그러니까 좋아해봐도 자유니까 네 맘은 네 거 맞으니까
포탑을 파괴했습니다.
말해봐자 어서 다 cause I'm not shy Not shy Not me 남자 보니까 Not shy Not shy Not me Give me 다다다다다다다 Not shy Not me 남자 보니까 Not shy Not shy Not me 너를 원해 넌 어때 cause I'm not shy
도저히 막을 수 없습니다.
후회하기 싫으니까 엔딩 상관없으니까 까불고 모두 쏟아내 너의 또 뭐든지 어때 Yeah 이러면 저러면 어때 어차피 내거 빼고 다 돼 Let's just be who we are 좋아 we do 네 맘대로 해 Let the beat drop Not shy Not me 말해봐자 어서 다 cause I'm not shy Not shy
포탑 방패가 곧 소멸됩니다.
Not shy Not shy Not me Give me 다다다다다다다 Not shy Not me Not shy Not shy Not me 너를 원해 뭐 어때 Not shy Not me Don't give away Don't give away
포탑이 파괴되었습니다.
목살했지. 이제 모두를 몰락시켜주마.
전장을 지배지.
알람이 울려도 ring 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 울리는 길이 갈 때마다 안녕 소린 빈 돌린다 하루 해놓은 속으로 나고 있잖아 결국에는 저는 길을 떠나는 걸 I'm falling to myself 그러면 안 돼 내 몸에서 내 맘이 내 맘을 좋아해 out of
던 그녀의 절규가 아직도 비켜서지 못해. 모두 삼켜주마.
잊어버려 우리 늘 복잡한 저 세상과 기대에서 벗어나 Joshua Tiger 지구를 틈타고 떠올라 Go crazy 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 그 춤을 춰 믿지 마야 지금 내 기분을 so high 멀리 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 그만 마셔 Just wanna dance I love sad girl.
제압되었습니다.
I want you to cry, cry for me. 내가 왔던 것처럼 cry for me. Make you wait for, cry for me. But again, 조금씩 더 빠져가. 사랑이 열심히 뿜어넣어져가. 용서의 핑계를 만들어가. I want you to cry for me. 사랑이란 게 너무 어떡해.
더블킬. 나는 적의 억제기를 파괴했습니다. 적을 처치해서 포탑을 파괴했습니다. 포탑을 파괴했습니다.
Cause I deserve it. 혹시 잠깐 내가 미웠지 않아도 걱정은 날게. Cause I know you, 내 눈을 자꾸 피해봐. 네 맘을 자꾸 숨겨봐. 나에게서 또 멈춰봐.
Back Marmosh, Mateta, and a bench of Murphy, Gabriel, Livramento, and it could be Areola, but because I'm leaning towards a Gimmick 32 bench boost, I might go to Verbruggen instead. So if we also visualize future game weeks, and let's also get rid of Kluivert for now, this is where things will get a bit spicy in terms of replacing him. I was quite set on keeping Kluivert and having him for the Gimmick 32 bench boost against Fulham. I was actually quite on board of that. And to be fair, I could still keep him on the wild card. And then just have Jacob Murphy or Gabriel come on for him if needed. Then for Gimmick 31, I've got Raya, Munoz, Gabriel, Livramento. And pretty much a similar midfield, but I've got Jacob Murphy there instead with Soloq, Kluivert, Saka. And a decent bench of Verbruggen, Ismail Assar, Gvardiol and Milenkovic. And then for Gimmick 32, with an expected points figure of 100.4, that is a very solid looking bench in my opinion, if I dare say so myself. I've got Verbruggen at home to Leicester, Kluivert at home to Fulham, Gabriel at home to Brentford, and Milenkovic at home to Everton with a decent 11. I'm not kind of like rigging things and shithousing a bench boost and just making it look better than it is. You could maybe say, oh, bench Gvardiol and start, you know, Gabriel instead or something like that, but ultimately that is a very good bench boost team in my opinion, and it makes me very tempted to play the chip this week. Maybe keep Kluivert just in case, but in the end I might have to just settle for my losses and sell him. I do have a bit of value tied up in him, but not as much as other people watching would. I kind of came late to the party with Kluivert, to be fair, but that is looking very solid with my plans. I've still got the free hit as well. I could use in Gimmick 33, but the most likely scenario is it will be deployed in Gimmick 34, where I've got quite a lot of players who blank there, as you can see, so it makes a lot of sense for me to free hit in 34, and then from 35 to 38 I just kind of take each week as it comes, and I've got no chips remaining. That is my plan. So wildcarding Gimmick 30 or 31, no matter what it is, I will be wildcarding today. I'll let you know for sure before the prices change tonight. Bench boost in 32 is looking very likely for me, with Gimmick 33 being the alternative and the free hit in 34. That is my current chip strategy, and a lot of you will be in a similar boat with the same chips remaining and probably similar plans with your wildcard team and also the way you're going to navigate future game weeks. And let's not forget FPL Challenge. I'll go back to this after the deadline has passed because the full focus is on FPL right now until 6:15 PM UK time. So the challenge this week is called Fortified Front. I've gone for Salah, Palmer, Saka and Kluivert in the midfield. That might need a bit of a change there, of course, with the Dutchman being a doubt now. Mateta, Marmoush and Isak, so a very template front three, and perhaps I'll go for Eze instead of Justin Kluivert here for FPL Challenge. So that'll be my updated squad. Salah's the captain right now. I might go a little bit different as I typically do in FPL Challenge, and yeah, 49 points last week wasn't great, but I've actually done fairly well over the course of the season, and I'll go back to this very shortly. But before I go back to my FPL squad, let's actually talk about the injury updates, which of course have been highly requested by people in the chat already, and I completely get it. So let's start off with maybe the least important ones, you could say. But Graham Potter said this about West Ham team news. So some of you will know he won't be available, but Fulkrug has been training with the group and will more than likely be in the squad. So we've just got to obviously build the minutes up in terms of what he's able to do. He hasn't played competitive football for a while. He's had a fairly significant injury, but he's training well and he's building his fitness up, so he'll be in the squad. Next up is with Arsenal, and this will be of more FPL interest, especially in the case of Bukayo Saka. He is set to return for Arsenal, and Arteta said the following: all of the careful things he's already done, it's about putting him on the grass in the right moment. He's pushing, he really wants it, we have respected the timeline, we had to hold him back, he is ready to go. And as for Calafiori, he will be out for several weeks, so Calafiori unfortunately picked up a knee injury again with the national team. It was really unfortunate. how that injury happened, but it could have been much worse. So hopefully it's going to be a matter of weeks, but we have to see how the injury evolves. Jurrien Timber has been ill for a long time, but he has felt much better in the last few days, so he is available. Next up is with Leicester, and Ruud van Nistelrooy said, "We obviously had Ricardo Pereira out for the Man United game, but he's doing really well. Hopefully we can get him on the training pitch today and tomorrow and see if he's ready for Wednesday." Marco Silva said this ahead of their clash against Arsenal tonight. "Right now, nothing really serious. Some knocks, which is normal, some tiredness from the game, but nothing serious. We're going to do the same today, a session to assess them, and after, take decisions." With Nottingham Forest, who reached the FA Cup semi-final and having a great season in third place, a slight kind of downside to it is Chris Wood with the injury picked up during the international break. And Nuno said this about the New Zealand striker: "He's improving after getting better day by day. We have to assess him day by day. A big contusion, so it's very painful." And on other Forest injuries, of course we have. After we played extra time and a demanding game, we have to assess them all. I think we are recovering well. The joy and the happiness of coming through and playing at Wembley will be sure to give us an extra run for tomorrow. And of course he's referring to today, but he said those quotes yesterday. With Man United, he said this, Ruben Amorim that is: "Luke Shaw is not ready yet. We are starting to do some drills with the team, but we are building him up. Mason Mount is feeling better, but was already on the bench for the last game. Kobe Mainoo is almost ready, but not for this game. Johnny Evans has recovered. Aiden Heaven is recovering. Licha Martinez is out. Harry Maguire and Yoro are also both ready." And he also said this about Aiden Heaven's injury: "It won't be too serious. He's recovering. He's still not ready to play, but he'll return this season for sure." So very soon we'll get to the very interesting bits, of course, of Erling Haaland and Kluivert, but Vitor Pereira said this about Wolves team news: "No new injuries. Everyone is in a condition to help the team. It's good." And of course, this is the one with Erling Haaland. Man City posted this statement yesterday night, and they can confirm that Haaland has sustained an ankle injury and he'll miss most of the remainder of the season, but the hope is he's back for the FIFA Club World Cup. And Pep Guardiola gave a specific update this morning, and he said, "The doctors told me between 5 and 7 weeks out, so hopefully for the end of the season, he will be ready." So that has obviously changed the Game Week 30 wildcard and how things have looked. And this is the fixture schedule right now, according to Ben Krellin. And you can see there the likely double game weeks, the possible ones. And feel free to pause and ask any questions about it if you want to. But yeah, I'm going to also show you the Justin Kluivert one again, just in case. So let's get this up as well. And yeah, we can give you the exact quotes by Iriola again. So just give me a second and I will show you what has been said. For some reason, the image didn't load up here, so I'm going to get it up on screen for you. So let's see. So yeah, Justin is the one we are more in doubt with. He finished with some issues and we have to check today to see if he's ready to go again. I mean, it doesn't seem too bad and I would expect him to be available for Game Week 31 and 32, but it's not what you want to hear on the, well, eve, just a few hours before the Game Week 30 deadline. So we'll see how that kind of develops, but Justin Kluivert is a doubt. He's now yellow flagged in FPL and has added another headache to the multiple you've got already. But let's now go back to my FPL team for now. I haven't activated the wildcard yet, but it's becoming increasingly more likely, to be quite honest with you, and I think it's probably the best course of action for my squad, and the bench boost in 32 is looking quite likely as well. Best Kluivert replacement. So I would favour Palace and Newcastle midfielders for sure. If you've got them already, then I would maybe consider someone like Matoma, perhaps, but it's only for Game Week 32. I think when you bench boost also plays a big part in your Kluivert replacement. For example, Jared Bowen might be accessible to you, and he's got a great fixture against Southampton in Game Week 33. I still prefer Kluivert over Matoma, Lewis. That is still my preference, and I don't mind keeping Kluivert on the wildcard, but having that bench cover if needed. That's something I won't have if I don't wildcard today. Welcome KDB17. Hello Dylan. Greetings from Greece. It's been a while since I've been there, but yeah, very well, a lot of different locations, great places to go to, and thank you very much for tuning in. Thoughts on Disasai over Konsa? I'm not a big fan of Aston Villa defenders. It's just those doubles, really, like in 33. But let's not forget, it would be Newcastle and Man City. It's not exactly a great double. I don't expect a clean sheet. I know Emi Martinez will be fairly popular on wildcard, so I get it. Konsa's also probably a little bit more likely to start all the games compared to the other defenders. I think Luka Dean, for example, would be a big rotation risk. He might have the highest ceiling, but I would probably avoid it if possible. If I had to pick one, it would be Konsa. He is a bit more template, but at the same time, he's also safer. I'm not sure I saw it, but it is predicted, says Sandri. Let's see what you're referring to. Oh, yeah, for Gemic 34. Yeah, it is looking very likely. I discussed this as well in the last couple of days. Of course, it's not set in stone, but Forest versus Brentford will likely stay in blank Gemic 34. Any 4.8 million defender, have Areola, Livramento and Konsa in my wildcard. You might consider 8 Nuri, for example. That will help you a lot for blank Gemic 34. But if you've got the free hit, or you're not really looking too much into that, and you want to prioritize other game mix, then that's fair enough. You might look in a different direction and go for Lewis Dunk for Gemic 32, or perhaps going for a West Ham defender in 33. But I think having Areola in place already is more than enough. So if you really want that coverage for the blank, it would be 8 Nuri. I'd like to have Foden in my wildcard, but I have to transfer Gvardiol for Ruben or a C defender, or Gabriel for Timber. Which would you do? Look, Timber's been really impressive for Arsenal this season, and he has stepped up multiple times, despite just coming off the back of the ACL injury. But I think with Ben White now back, that could spell some rotation over the coming weeks, especially when Arsenal play Real Madrid. I just don't really see Timber starting all of those games with Ben White on the bench all the time. So I think Timber is a bit of a risk, to be honest. I know with Gabriel you could also say, well, maybe Kivior comes in for him and gives him a rest in a Premier League match. That's also possible, but I think it's less likely than during Timber making way for Ben White. So yeah, Gvardiol, you're sacrificing the attacking potential and going for Ruben Dias, who should start most games. But with Man City defenders, you never quite know there what's going to happen. If I had to make a sacrifice, it would be... I think it'd be Ruben Dias for Gvardiol, but that would be an unpopular opinion, and I understand why. Chase says, with Cliver out, what do you think about getting Evanilson for Mateta and opting for Eze instead? Already have Munoz and Sarr, also have Salah, Saka and Gordon. Yeah, that's a good strategy, especially if you want to differentiate yourself a little bit. I've got Evanilson myself, and I was quite keen to keep him for Game Week 30, but if I wildcard, I probably will go in the direction of Mateta instead. I'll be honest, if I'm looking a bit longer term as well, yeah, I'd still rather have Mateta. And in the case of Cliver, you can still keep him on your wildcard and just have him being subbed off automatically and have him in place for Game Week 31 and 32. There will be no double in 33, but he's still got a decent fixture as well and could help you with your bench boost as well. Best wildcard team if I don't have the free hit. It'd still be quite similar, but you would maybe have like an 8 Nuri in there or a Jose Sarr, perhaps even Areola, of course. But you have to be a bit more conscious about Game Week 34. That's the way you'd go about things, but if you check out my best wildcard team videos, those drafts will definitely help you in terms of navigating 34 without the free hit, and you can add 1 or 2 more players who feature in that game week who can then really help you. Konate, for example, would be one of them. I get it, but it's predicted to be rearranged again in Game Week 34, so Sandri. Napstar says, I'm going to wildcard in 31 and bring in Fernandes, Vittel and bench Cliver. Yeah, Fernandes, not the greatest fixture this week, and also against Man City. I'd be more appealed by that, to be fair, in Game Week 31. It is an upgrade on Tell for me, so I get that. Benching Cliver looks sound. You can maybe keep him on your wildcard when you do decide to play the chip, probably after the deadline today. So, good strategy. Michael says, hey, should I move Wood for Mateta or Trent for Munoz? That is a good question. I consider both of them, even for a hit, but I think I'd go for Mateta, because I don't think Crystal will play, to be fair. Konsa or Wan-Bissaka? I'd lean towards Wan-Bissaka, but if you've got Areola already, do not double up on West Ham. I don't think Crystal will play, to be fair. Too. That could change the answer, but for me it'd be Wan-Bissaka in isolation. Do you think Marmoush is a good captain? Yes, he is, and that also reminds me of the top 10 captaincy list, which I'm going to show you right now. But yeah, for me Marmoush has gone up in my estimation. With Erling Haaland out of the equation, he's going to start. The minutes and the expected minutes are all going to be much higher now, so I'd be very bullish on Marmoush right now. So let's go to this section, the gimmick analysis. You can see all these different graphics. and my predictions for the game week. So I've gone for Arsenal 2, Fulham 1, Wolves 1, West Ham 1, Nottingham Forest 1, Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 3, Ipswich Town 1, Brighton 2, Aston Villa 2, Manchester City 4, Leicester 0, Newcastle 3, Brentford 2, Southampton 0, Crystal Palace 2, Liverpool 2, Everton 0, and then Chelsea 2, Tottenham Hotspur 1. Let's also talk about team weaknesses and also the highlighted player. So Southampton is obviously a team to always target, and in central areas they've conceded so many shots and chances, as you're going to see in the next graphic. And I think Eze is going to be the very best of the Palace lot. And just look at those, you know, or the graphics. So the blue circles indicate the shots conceded by Southampton this season, and the heat map just under it is where Eze has had his shots in this campaign. It does seem like a perfect match. They concede so many chances just outside the edge of the box and also approaching the 6-yard box. I mean, I think Eze is a great option here. I know the likes of Sarr and Mateta are also appealing, Daniel Munoz and Henderson. If you're free in this week and could pick 4 or 5 Palace players, you'd probably consider it, but I think Eze might be the standout this week. He's also in great form and typically ends seasons very strongly, so I'm very bullish on him. And if it wasn't for Sarr being significantly cheaper and the other moves I want to do on the wildcard, I think Eze would be in for me for the Game Week 30 wildcard squad, and that is a great differential for you if you haven't gone there already. Let's also discuss the clean sheet odds and the over 2 goals odds, which are taken by FantasyFootballPundit.com and DraftCam respectively. So in number 1 spot we've got Arsenal with a 54% chance of keeping a clean sheet. Liverpool and Man City are second with 51%. Then you've got Bournemouth, Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest completing the top 6. And in terms of scoring over 2 goals, Man City are actually top of any team this week, which makes a lot of sense, facing Leicester, who are bottom of the entire list with a 7% chance of keeping a clean sheet and a 5% chance of scoring over 2 goals. So next up is the top 10 captaincy list, and Erling Haaland was originally easily in the top 2 spots. There was no question about it, but I had to make a few changes. You can see the yellow flag players there in Cole Palmer and Kluivert. I've still got them in. I'm very confident Cole Palmer will play. I can't say the same about Kluivert though. But Mohamed Salah is top. Marmoush is second, facing Leicester at home, and Isak is in third, with Cole Palmer in 4th. If he showed a bit of form recently and didn't have that lengthy injury over this international break, then I think Palmer could be even higher, possibly up to 2nd place, but he's in 4th here, and Eze completes the top 5, with Kluivert in 6th. Maybe now he would obviously drop down out of the top 10 entirely. Phil Foden is 7th, Mateta 8th, Saka and Sarr complete the top 10. Saka is expected to start, like I mentioned before, according to Time Sport and other reliable sources, so I'd be very confident that Bukayo Saka is a great investment from now until the end of this season. But on the wildcard, if you are able to manipulate things in such a way, I'd definitely consider going for Cole Palmer up until Game Week 33 and then switching him to Bukayo Saka. Let's now go back to my FPL squad, which once again I've only made 1 free transfer. I've got 4 yellow flags at the moment, and it has been the case for the entire international break. Even Veltman, who I sold, was orange flag, so yeah, it's like a Christmas tree, a lot of different problems to solve, and that's what the Game Week 30 wildcard could do. Yeah, Palmer should play, I just mentioned that multiple times. Would you go for Marino or Saka? Definitely Saka for me, 100%. I think he's worth the extra millions, and he's got the ability to get goals and assists on a regular basis. Marino's done a good job as a striker, even for Spain. He scored against the Netherlands during this international break, but yeah, I think Saka is the one. Kluivert or Saka? It would be Saka, I think, if I had to pick one on the wild card, because for Game Week 33, I think he is one of the best captaincy options by that stage. Iavissa and Wood, who would you sell for Marmoush? Yeah, good question. If it wasn't for the injury, I'd say sell Vissa, but now it's a little bit different. Despite the positive update by Nuno surrounding Chris Wood recently, I'd probably sell him first. Triple Newcastle attack. I'd still go for one defender personally, but I get it. Going for Murphy, Gordon and Isak could work fairly well. I think 2 is probably enough though, and you also would lose coverage of one of Saka or Palmer potentially. You also want Salah, not to mention Crystal Palace assets like Sarr or Eze, perhaps even both, and Jean-Philippe Mateta up front. So I think a balance is probably what I'd advise in general. So for both Crystal Palace and Newcastle, I'd advise attacking double-ups, but not triples. Is Chris Wood definitely out? No, he's not definitely out, but he is a major doubt for the game. Hopefully we get a definitive update about him, but it's not looking too good. I'll be honest though, if, let's say for example, we got a reliable source saying now that Chris Wood is going to play, maybe I just wildcard in 31. I've got Chris Wood coming in for Cliver if needed, and it's a decent squad to compete for with wildcarders this week, and a bit more information when I activate the chip going into the next deadline. I'm captaining Marmoush. Yeah, I like that a lot. He's second in my list, and if you want to go a bit different, he is definitely one of the top ones I'd recommend. How likely are Forest to not blank in 34? I'm not sure about exact percentages, but I think it's quite likely. 60-70% chance if I had to put an exact one, but ultimately that's just a complete guess in my opinion. So yeah, I did show earlier the provisional schedule, and I might go back to it at some stage in this video. But yeah, if we look here at this graphic by Ben Krellin, it's most likely going to be in Gimmick 34, and a few other websites I think that people have mentioned in this chat that they've seen on X have also suggested the same thing. But I think it's more likely than not that Forest and Brentford will feature in blank Gimmick 34, which is going to be very helpful for those without the free hit. Not FPL related, but Verstappen probably going to Mercedes next year. We might get a brutal domination, 10 titles, the aim. I'm not so sure about that, and will Mercedes be the same next year? We'll wait and see, but yeah, I've seen a few rumours like that. I mean, things have kind of gone for the worse at Red Bull ever since Adrian Newey left and all the controversies surrounding the team. So yeah, it's kind of surprising how things can change so quickly. Is Barnes a good differential? Yeah, that's another one that hasn't really been mentioned, but that is another way of kind of differentiating yourself from the crowd. My issue with this though is that when Gordon is available by Gimmick 31, I still think Murphy and Gordon will start and Barnes will be on the bench. So it might be a great punt this week, but for Gimmick 31 and 32, when you most need him, you might not get the minutes you pretty much desire. Thoughts on the City triple up? I think 2's enough. So going for Foden this week looks really good against Leicester, so I'm not completely against it. But would I rather have Foden over Palmer or Saka? I'll be honest, I just don't think they compare. There are levels to it, and I think both of them are significantly more consistent this season than Phil Foden. So I think Gavardio and Marmoush is where I'd go to, and if you want to go a bit different and go for the extra City player, then I would suggest Phil Foden, and some people might even consider Savinho because of his price, which I completely get. I just don't like his goal record. Yeah, Clive I just covered. He's got an injury at he's a bit of a doubt for Gimmick 30. Probably the quick turnaround, and he felt a few issues after the game against Man City in the FA Cup, but he should be available by Gimmick 31-32, but he is a doubt for this game specifically. Soldier Boy says, I don't think I'm going to wildcard. That's fair enough. I completely get that. Thoughts on Pedro Neto? Just not a big fan. I've said this quite consistently. For those games against Southampton, Leicester earlier this season, just a couple of weeks ago, I was quite, okay to say, you know what, he's a decent punt for those game weeks, but afterwards I just wouldn't be considering him. Welcome, John. Average at FPL says, thinking about doing Palmer and Wanyeri to sack an Eze for a -4. Worth it? I do prefer the duo you're bringing in, just to make it clear. My issue with this is selling Palmer for a hit. I actually think Palmer's the best of the lot this week if he does start against Tottenham, which I believe will be the case, so that is my major concern there. Thank you, Keith, for moderating the chat, and of course that question has been answered already. Who's the captain this week? Yeah, for me, Salah. Kind of a standard one, but if you want to go a little bit different, I'm very bullish on the likes of Marmoush. I think Foden's a nice differential, but you saw the top 10 captaincy list just now. Feel free to rewind, and you can always go back to the live section afterwards, but yeah, Marmoush is like my favourite differential captain, so to speak. He might not be too much of a differential by the end of this deadline stream. Will Nottingham Forest play in Gimmick 34? Yeah, it's very likely, as I mentioned just a few minutes ago. It's not set in stone though. Start Cliver or Joao Pedro this week, says Richard Milichip. I'd start Cliver just in case, but he is a doubt, of course, as we all know. Start Murphy or Elanga? I'd favour Murphy. Howson or Milenkovic? I'd prefer Milenkovic in general. Differentials, please. I've mentioned a few, so Harvey, Barnes and Trippier from Newcastle. Now, once again with Barnes, I'd be less keen because of the minutes. I think that will be a major concern once Gordon is back in Gimmick 31. You might also want to consider from Crystal Palace going for both Sarr and Eze. And I think with Arsenal, you might want to go for Gabriel and Raya as a defensive double-up. I don't think the effective ownership of having both of them will be that high. I think having a Brighton defender, if you're looking to bench boost in 32, or Verbruggen in goal is also a solid shout. So those are some differentials for you to consider. There are more than where that came from, but those are some decent ideas for you. If I wildcard this week, will I have 1 or 2 transfers next week? You will have the same number of transfers you had before you activate the wildcard chip. So if you had 4 transfers before the Game Week 30 deadline and you wildcard, you will still have 4 free transfers for Game Week 31. Should I keep Bruno Fernandes or swap for Saka? I'd probably keep Bruno Fernandes for now. He's showing great form in general. But I'd highly recommend buying Saka just in time for Game Week 33 for sure. And if Bruno Fernandes is the one to sacrifice, then I would do it. But you don't need to make that transfer this week. Easy says my FPL challenge team: Salah captain, Kluivert, Bruno, Sarr, Evanussen, Isak, Mateta. I like the look of it. Of course, I'd be a bit gutted if I saw the likes of Evanussen and not even Kluivert and Bruno, and they all end up falling on my wildcard, but we'll wait and see. Ezequiel says: hola Dylan, para Parquiero, Emi Martinez o Robert Sánchez. Digo, la verdad no soy fanático de ambos. Aston Villa, su defensa es bastante floja en mi opinión, y también lo mismo se puede aplicar con Chelsea y Robert Sánchez, pero en la jornada 32 Chelsea juega con Ipswich Town, así que si estás usando el bench boost, creo que Robert Sánchez es una buena opción como tu suplente y segundo arquero. Si tuviera que elegir uno sería Robert Sánchez, pero no hay mucho en separarlo. Bench 1, Kluivert, Semenyo, Bowen or Elanga. Jacob says start for it, Gabriel, Gavardio, Munoz, Kirkes, Milenkovic. Munoz, Gavardio, and I'd go for Gabriel. Now for those with Raya in goal, and I'd probably do the same on the wild card, in that scenario I might go for Milenkovic over Gabriel to kind of diversify my defence. But if you don't have Raya in goal, slight preference for Gabriel I think over Milenkovic, but not by much. I showed the clean sheet odds earlier, and whilst Forest are in the top 6, Arsenal are top with 54%, which of course is down to you to kind of interpret. Maybe you've got a different opinion, but yeah, Arsenal do have the best defence in my opinion. Start Burn or Milenkovic? Do you have Salah? Captain him if you have, and put him on Mauritius Vice. Yeah, I think that's a good strategy, but look, you might feel like Sea are going to absolutely demolish Leicester, which I've kind of gone for as well. 4-0 victory for them. I think going for Marmoush over Salah is definitely a decent shout. I had to wildcard this week because of injuries and only have bench boost left. I think it probably makes sense to bench boost in 33 because I'll need to include West Ham, Areola, Basaka for 34. Any tips? This is the thing though, and I said this before, if you don't have the free hit for 34, bench boosting in 33 makes it extremely difficult to navigate both of them in the best possible way. So I think even bench boosting a week earlier in 32 does look slightly more appealing because it gives you the extra week with the extra transfer, and I think also more information in terms of injury suspensions going into Game Week 34. I just think it's kind of awkward to navigate those two game weeks by bench boosting in 33 and then just kind of taking hits in 34. It can still work well, but I'm not a big fan of it. Also triple captain Isak, Game Week 32 for the double. Yeah, if I start the triple captaincy left, I think Isak is the kind of standout amongst double Game Week assets from now until the end of the season. Joao Pedro or Evanussen. As mentioned before, I have a slight preference for Joao Pedro, but I think both of them are absolutely solid. I'd go for Milenkovic over Aina. Who takes pens when Kluivert isn't on the pitch? Semenyo did it last time in the FA Cup against Everton. I think it's between him and Evanussen. So, yeah, I think if I had to guess it'd be Evanussen and then Semenyo next in line. Because I do believe Evanussen was on the pitch when Semenyo took that penalty, but if I am mistaken about that, then be sure to correct me. Gibbs White, Dango or Kluivert, which one of these two to include in the lineup? I'd go for Kluivert still, and I'd favour Dango over Gibbs White, but there is a chance both Kluivert and Gibbs White don't feature at all, and you might be down to the bare bones there. Javane says, how's this wildcard team? It leaves nothing in the bank. Raya, Martinez, Kirkes, Gavardio, Munoz, Burn, Gabriel, Salah, Palmer, Kluivert, Sarr, Burn, Mateta, Marmoush, Isak. Yeah, I like the look of it. Just be a bit careful about Burn because he's got 9 yellow cards. You have mentioned him twice, so I'm just wondering who your other player is there in your defensive line, but overall, I do like the look of it. To be fair, I think you've already mentioned your 5 defenders, haven't you? Oh yeah, you mentioned 4 of them, sorry. Oh yeah, that's fine. I think you just put in twice. It was absolutely reasonable. Ryan Martinez does seem like a lot of money investing in goalkeepers, but it does work well for Gimmick 33 on the bench boost, for example. Clive, even if he's unavailable this week, is a decent option for Gimmicks 31 to 33, so I'm on board with it. It's a good squad. Thoughts on Gakpo? Not a big fan. I'd rather go for Marmoush, Isak and Mateta. Even a Joao Pedro or a Vanoson would be more tempting over the next couple, but I get it. That's another thing that people can do to be a bit different, going for more Liverpool players on their wildcard or just buying them in, having a second or third asset like Kanate or Gakpo. But I think in the case of Gakpo, there could be some rotation there as well. Savinho and Munoz or Eze and Kerkez? That is a good question. This week, I favour Eze and Kerkez. Best 5 players for Gemic 34. I mean, that's a long way away, but I think Isak would definitely be up there facing Ipswich Town. I wouldn't even mind tripling up on Newcastle there. I'd also say Cunha, he'll be back by that stage. So Isak, Cunha. And of course, you wouldn't buy the Brazilian in yet. Let's see. Yeah, difficult one. Yeah, Cole Palmer's always going to be up there against Everton. He actually scored a hat-trick against them last season. So Palmer's, Isak and Cunha would be in my top 3. Oh yeah, Salah. Salah's always going to be there, so that's 4. Getting a 5th option, I mean, even from any of those teams I just mentioned, like Newcastle, Liverpool, you can get a second asset like Anthony Gordon, and that completes your kind of top 5 players, but those 4 would definitely be there for me. I think Clive and Bruno Fernandes are decent. I'm not sure if they'd be necessarily top 5, but they are also others to consider, so that's a pretty decent list for you. But I think Cunha's one that maybe you're not thinking about, but you should definitely be under consideration when you approach Gaming 34. Is Martinelli in the wildcard a good idea? I personally wouldn't go there. I think Saka's the best Arsenal attacker by some distance. If you were to go for another asset that's maybe cheaper, maybe Marino's the one. Yeah, it's Saka for me. Do you think Marmoush is getting 4 more points than Mbeumo? I think he will, but I couldn't guarantee it to you. I really couldn't. Mbeumo's a good asset. He got a double-digit haul against Newcastle earlier this season, albeit under different circumstances. Would you start Saka or Murphy? Saka. Shreya says, is it worth a -4 for Saka this week, or should I wait for a week? I'd wait a week. How do you know if you should wildcard? Well, if you've got multiple flag players and doubts, which could include Clivert, for example, and you've got no bench cover, if, let's say, worst comes to worst and you're down to 10 men, or you've got a really poor option in your starting 11 like Greaves, in that sort of scenario, I'd consider wildcarding now, to be honest. And I'm in a similar situation where I might have Chris Wood or Robinson coming off my bench, but if it's not Chris Wood, I'm not looking too good maybe all of a sudden, despite having a decent bus team a couple of weeks ago. Why not start Wood just in case he starts? Well, that was my original plan, to be fair, but yeah, I'm just not too sure anyway. I mean, I personally think Chris Wood won't feature in Gemic 30, and with Clivert, I'm less confident now after the update this morning, of course. It was Murphy instead of second burn. Yeah, still really good. I'm also considering Murphy just because of value. I'm probably not going to be able to afford Gordon, whilst also getting the other 14 players I really want. But yeah, Murphy's a decent alternative. I have all the chips except triple captain. When should I use them? Check out my chip strategy guide because that will break it down in detail for you. But essentially, I'd probably recommend something like this. So you could wildcard in Gemic 30 or 31. I would bench boost in either 32 or 33. Re-hit in Gemic 34. And then use the assistant manager in either Gemic 35 or 36, depending on your team situation and how you want to set things up. Maybe the amount of transfers you've got available and money in the bank. But yeah, that is my recommendation, I think, with all chips available except the triple captaincy. Ben Stewart says, I had 1 free transfer at the beginning of this week and then took a -4. In the end, I had to use a wild card. Will I have 2 free transfers next week? What happens to the budget in this situation? Yes, you'd still have... Well, you have 1 free transfer still. It's not like you gain another one. So whatever you had beforehand, you're going to keep. So if you had free transfers, you'll have them free available for the next deadline after wildcarding. And in your case, you had one, so you'll still have one transfer after using the chip. Double up on Crystal Palace with Sarr or go with Rodgers to cover Aston Villa. I'd probably double up on Palace, but only if you're absolutely sure about not going for either Munoz or Jean-Philippe Mateta. Thoughts on Ansi Elanga over the next 3 weeks? As a budget midfielder, he's absolutely fine. I just think there is a lot of kind of hype around him because of the brace he scored against Ipswich Town, his first club brace, in fact his first brace in his entire career. But yeah, I do like him for the next 3. Is he really a priority for me though? Not necessarily. I think Jacob Murphy would be more appealing, and other budget midfielders like Nathaniel Sarr targeting that double and getting 32. Hi Dylan, who's the best defender to cost around 4.2 million or under for the next few game weeks? It's not looking great. You might consider Agbadu, who's very useful for blank gimmick 34. Yeah, it's kind of slim pickings in my opinion, but that's the one that kind of stands out to me. Would you favour Glasner, assistant manager 31 to 33? Yes, in an ideal world it would be Glasner. I think Eddie Howe and Arteta are also good managers to pick in that time frame, but if you've also got other chips to use like the bench boost, let's say you've got a full house except the triple captaincy, in that case I'd maybe consider using the assistant manager around gimmick 35/36, but yeah, Glasner is my favourite in isolation for sure. Sarr and Evanescent or Mateta and Villa mid already have Eze. Yeah, probably Mateta and a Villa mid in this case, and Rodgers is the safest pick. Sell Wood, Trent or Cliver? Well, Trent is definitely out for the long term, and he's also quite expensive considering his position as well. So I prioritise selling Trent first, then Chris Wood, and then Cliver. So Dutopus's wildcard team, keep Evanescent or Marmouche. I'd go for Marmouche, personally. Allison or Sells? Sells. I will triple captain next game week. And gimmick 31. Well, it depends on your chips, to be fair. And it could still work fairly well, but I'd recommend using it on Isak in 32, if possible. So yeah, let's get this up. Yeah, 1 second, it's just the chat has kind of dropped out. So yeah, we're getting very close to the deadline. I'm going to put a poll out, but of course there is this question by Easy. So how many teams will double in gimmick 33? 4 teams will double in gimmick 33, and there are no blanks of course. That will be the case then 34. Now there is the possibility that Brentford Forest will also fall under gimmick 33, so that will be another double. But it's more likely that they will feature and their game remains in 34. That's been covered as well in my videos. Thoughts on Nate Nuri? Decent for the blank gimmick with a great fixture on paper against Leicester. Decent fixtures beforehand, so I'm not completely against them on the wildcard, but yeah, Wolves are still one of those teams I don't fully trust, despite the fact that Vitor Pereira has done a decent job since taking over. Thoughts on Diaz? Not for me. I wouldn't recommend Luis Diaz. What do I do with Trent? Sell him, ideally. And I think Munoz is the standout replacement. Isak or Mateta for triple captain in 32. Isak. Pedro says, hey Dylan, I have a decent team for this week besides Dango, Cliver and this in the 11. Would you save the wildcard this game week and make a free transfer Dango to Sarr or Eze? It's a difficult one because, as you mentioned, it's a decent team, and even the players you mentioned, like Dango, Cliver and Bissa, they're still solid options, assuming they all start, but that is a big if, especially in the case of Cliver right now. I think Dango will start, just to kind of give you my opinion on it. And of course Visser is a nailed-on player there for Brentford. I still think I'd wildcard, but if you think, you know what, nah, I just want to sit with Faye 1, I completely get it. And I think 2 of those 3 players will start anyway. Yeah, it's possible, Mahmood, it's very possible. At the moment I haven't wildcarded yet, so this is my pre-wildcard team with my transfer used, and I've got no transfers remaining, so it will be a -4 hit for each extra transfer I make. So thank you to those that have liked the stream and showed support to the channel. Let's get the stream up to more likes. Let's get up to 100 plus to begin with, and then 200 by the end. and let's push on towards new goals like 33,000 subscribers. It'd be greatly appreciated as we approach doubles like Gaming 33 and 32 of course, but our main focus will be Gaming 30 right now, and I will put a poll on the channel, and maybe this will help a lot of people watching the stream as well. So with Clivert, Palmer, Wood and Mikalenko doubtful. Alright, so I'm going to put this poll out and let's answer some more questions. Yep, Cliver is yellow flagged. He felt some issues after the game. I did cover the injury updates with some graphics and stuff like that, so I'll go back to that in a short while. He's not definitively out, and based on what Iraola said, it doesn't seem to be a long-term issue, so I'd be very confident he's back by Gaming 31 or 32. MSB 10 says pick 2 goalkeepers from Raya, Martinez, Areola and Cells. I'd go for Raya and Areola if you're doubling, if you're bench boosting in 33, for sure. But if you don't have the free hit, I'm less keen on bench boosting in 33, and as a result, would you want to go for Areola when he faces Liverpool away in Gimmick 32, where for me that's a very underrated gimmick to bench boost? That's something I'd maybe consider. A lot of people will go for Raya Martinez, I get it. I'm just not that keen on Aston Villa defensively, and it does seem like a lot of money to invest in those goalkeepers, but I think generally speaking I'd go for Raya and Areola. Asensio or Rodgers? Rodgers still for me. I just think the minutes are far more secure. Yeah, let's talk Vignal. There is an update as covered before, so I'll go for it one more time. So Eddie Howe said this about Anthony Gordon. He has some nasty bruising around his thigh, but he's up and running and feeling quite good. He has not trained with the group yet, so we anticipate he'll do that within the next few days. Of course, he's suspended right now, but he will be available just in time for that plum fixture against Leicester City away from home. So yeah, I think he will play next week. Maybe the minutes are managed a little bit. It all depends on how the injury evolves and how he feels over the next week or so. Marmoush and Sarr, Osaka and Mateta for Cunha and Mbuma for the next 4 game weeks. That's an extremely difficult one, to be fair. I'd still lean towards Saka and Mateta, but not by much. Insane Gamer says, do I quit FPL? I'm 2.7 million and I hate that every single decision goes against me. And this is why I copy teams, but I don't want to do it because I can't make my own decisions. Yeah, look. Ultimately, the most important thing is to enjoy yourself when playing FPL. And in terms of copying, I get it. I get why you feel that way, but there's not really much enjoyment in copying for me anyway. Everyone's different. And making your own decisions, even if it goes wrong, of course, you ultimately want it to go right and enjoy yourself, but the whole decision-making process is quite fun to me. So when things go tits up, you kind of complain about it, explain your thought process, and you can have a laugh about it afterwards. But yeah, ultimately, I'd say no, don't quit FPL, but try to enjoy the game. I mean, if you don't, then there's not really much point to the actual purpose of playing FPL in general. But yeah, that is the most important thing. Try and enjoy the process and having a good time, irrespective of your rank and how things seem to be going on a